Have you had the feeling that something invisible has been testing you since you were born, as if your life is marked by challenges that no one around you can understand? And if I told you that this may not be coincidence, but the reflection of an ancient spiritual curse linked to your sign? According to surprising revelations made by Edgar Cayce, one of the greatest mystical prophets of the 20th century, there are exactly 5 signs that carry an invisible spiritual weight, which manifests itself in the form of pain, repetitive patterns, inexplicable fears, and a constant feeling that the universe is demanding more, always more. These signs were not cursed by chance. Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, accessed information from the spiritual plane in deep trance states, and what he revealed about the zodiac goes far beyond common astrology. He spoke of old karmas, unfulfilled pacts, and energies that are still active in some souls to this day. Souls like yours. Do you feel goosebumps without explanation? Do you dream of symbols, names, or places that seem to come from other lives? Do you have a feeling that you are here for something bigger, but what invisible forces live trying to stop you? This can be one of the signs that you belong to this list of 5 spiritually marked signs. And no, this is not just mysticism. It is a revelation that can explain why your journey has always seemed more intense, deeper, more lonely. Perhaps your sign has been chosen not only to shine, but to resist, to support, to transform. What you will see below can completely change the way you understand your own existence and the true reason for so many spiritual trials throughout your life. But before revealing what these 5 spiritually cursed signs are, according to Edgar Cayce, I need you to tell me, what is your sign? Comment now and get ready, because if it is on the list, you will recognize yourself in every word next. So before I reveal what the 5 spiritually cursed signs are, according to Edgar Cayce's views, I want you to stop for a moment and comment below. What is your sign? And what do you feel spiritually since you were born? This is not just a detail. This comment can be the point of connection with other people who live the same mystical experiences as you. Often, what seems to be a lonely burden is actually a mission shared by similar souls. Each time you comment, share, or interact with this video, you not only strengthen this spiritual community, but also helps this message reach other people who, like you, need to understand why so many repetitive cycles, so many signs that have never been explained. You are not here by chance. You clicked on this video by a call, and if this message has come to you, it is because perhaps your name is among the chosen or among the cursed. So if this introduction has already touched you in any way, if you felt that we talk about you, leave your like now. This shows that you are ready to receive the following revelations. And if you are not yet subscribed, subscribe to the channel right now, because what we will reveal here is just the beginning of a series of spiritual discoveries that can turn your view of your sign, your mission, and your destiny. The universe is communicating. The signs are everywhere, but only those who are awake can see. Now, let's get down to business. The time has come to reveal, one by one, the 5 spiritually marked signs according to Edgar Cayce's deep readings. Prepare yourself, because if your sign is here, some things in your life will finally start to make sense. Have you ever felt that you carry a pain that is not just yours? As if something spiritual was testing you from birth? As if your heart remembered wounds you didn't even live in this life? There are people who walk around the world with invisible scars, and as much as they try to explain, no one around understands the depth of what they feel. Maybe you are one of those souls. Perhaps you are one of those people who, since childhood, has the feeling that there is something different, a mission, a weight, a kind of spiritual charge that seems to come from somewhere above, old, silent, but present. This is not weakness. This can be a sign. Edgar Cayce said that there are people who did not come to this world to live an ordinary life. and that this difference often manifests itself as pain, isolation, deep internal conflicts, and the feeling of carrying a luggage that is not of this existence. When Cayce talked about spiritually marked signs, he did not use this expression as punishment, but as a kind of prophetic alert. He said that certain signs were programmed to receive spiritual tasks more intense. Not because they are better or worse, but because they have an older, more sensitive soul, more shaped by the experiences of other lives. Do you feel that you attract repetitive situations? What does it seem to live the same losses or frustrations, even trying to change? You know that feeling that you are always about to reach something, but something invisible always pulls you back? This can be a clear symptom of a silent spiritual curse. Not in the sense of something dark and punitive, but as a karmic charge, a kind of block that forces you to look inside, grow, awaken. And some signs, according to Cayce, were spiritually programmed to go through these tests. Sometimes the soul is in the process of cut, and the universe places certain trials on the way of these people, not to destroy them, but so that they arouse hidden gifts. The pain can be the portal for awakening. Many of these souls feel that they belong nowhere. They do not fit themselves to their own families. They are the ones who, early on, have unusual spiritual sensitivity, present things before they happen, dream of strange messages, perceive energy changes in the environment, and live with the constant feeling of being observed by something that is not from this plane. It is not uncommon for these people to have their lives marked by loss, restarts, intense relationships, and periods of deep silence. These cycles are not accidents. Cayce pointed out that everything has a purpose, and the signs that are among the 5 spiritually marked have the fate of going through these challenges until they accept who they really are. This can explain why, even trying to follow a normal life, something within you always takes you back to the spiritual path. It is as if your essence shouted for something bigger, for an ancient memory that still pulsates somewhere in your being. You may have tried to ignore this, maybe tried to fit in, suffocate your gifts, hide your dreams, deny your deepest feelings. But the truth is that the soul does not silence for long. And when you resist the spiritual call, life begins to create ruptures, relationships that collapse for no apparent reason, opportunities that disappear at the last moment, people who move away, voids that no achievements can fill. These are symbolic forms of the universe to call you back to your axis, your mission, your purpose. And the most impressive is that when you start awakening, it all starts to make sense. The signs that once seemed random began to fit in. You start to see repetition of numbers, listen to phrases that touch the soul straight, feel the presence of something around you in times of silence. And many times you can't explain it to anyone because not everyone will understand. But here you are among people who know what you are talking about. And more than that, you're about to find out that everything you feel may be directly linked to your sign, and to what Edgar Cayce called still active spiritual memories. Perhaps that is why certain signs have such a strong connection with the invisible world. They are like living antennas, capturing vibrations that others ignore. But also for this, these signs suffer more. They are more affected by emotions, more vulnerable to negative energies, and often absorb pain that are not theirs. The spiritual curse in this case is this extreme sensitivity, a gift disguised as a burden. But to turn it into strength, you need to wake up. It is necessary to recognize the call, and you who are here now, you know that. If you felt, even lightly, that all this seems to describe your life, so continue with me, because in the next few minutes, we will reveal the 5 signs spiritually marked according to Cayce, and what each one carries as a mission and a challenge. But before that, I really want to know what you are feeling. What is your sign? Have you ever lived inexplicable spiritual experiences? Already felt pain I couldn't name, but did you know they came from somewhere deeper? Comment down here. Write "I feel it" if this video is connecting with your soul, or just say "I'm a chosen one" if you feel you're here for a greater reason. Your comment can awaken someone else, Your account may be the sign someone needed not to give up, so don't keep it just for you. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed, and share it with someone you feel that you also carry this same called silent. And that's why, before revealing these 5 signs spiritually marked by Edgar Cayce's visions, I need you to look inside. Feel rescue, because only those who have gone through certain types of experiences understand the depth of what we are about to talk about. Cayce made no predictions to impress. He dived in plans where time does not exist and accessed information that had not even manifested in this physical plane. He saw the souls beyond the body, beyond the astral chart. And it was in this state of high consciousness that he identified the patterns of pain, mission, trials, and spiritual charges that fell on some specific signs. These signs, he said, did not come to this plan by chance. They came with an ancestral baggage. They came with tasks that most people couldn't stand. They are spirits who have lived complex lives and return not to seek comfort, but to align cycles, adjust karma, purify lineages, heal transgenerational wounds. It's not little, and that is why, throughout their lives, these people go through seemingly unfair losses, diseases that challenge diagnoses, sudden departures, by falls that seem unjustified. But all this has a purpose. Cayce said, "The soul knows what it needs to heal, even when the mind does not understand." You perhaps have already faced times when everything seemed to be against you, opportunities that evaporated, people who betrayed you at the most unexpected moment, strange sensations of being tested by something bigger without notice, and behind it all, an emotional pain that doesn't always have a name, but that accompanies you. That intensifies when you try to move away from your essence. That returns to visit you when you disconnect from your call. This is not unlucky. It is not drama. It is deep spirituality. It is the soul's memory being activated. And many of those who are watching now know exactly what I'm talking about. You may have tried to live an ordinary life, mix, ignore your intuition, suffocate your emotions. But sooner or later, the experiences come to remind you that the universe did not choose you to be one more. You feel things before they happen. You dream of scenes that later come. You enter places and feel goosebumps, as if something old were there. You carry the feeling that there is a story behind your story, something that accompanies you, something that may not even be this life. And no matter how much they try to convince you that this is silly, deep down, you know it is not. Cayce called it silent spiritual recognition. He said that when you begin to remember your origin, life begins to test your courage to follow the path of the soul. And right now, the challenges intensify, because the spirit world wants to see if you are ready. Ready to assume who it really is, ready to deal with gifts, sensitivity, the hidden power you carry, and especially with the responsibility it brings. Therefore, these 5 spiritually marked signs live among extremes. They are loved by some, misunderstood by many, and deeply attacked by those who cannot stand their light. Many try to turn off this light because it bothers you. She reveals, she wakes up. But those who carry this kind of energy cannot hide for long. Even when trying, fate always finds a way to put it again at the center of your spiritual journey. Sometimes delicately, other times with brutality, but always with the intention of aligning you with your true frequency. And now that you have come here, that you felt every word as if you were listening to something you already knew, but I hadn't put it in words yet, I want to make an invitation. Let's turn this space into a temple of awakened souls, in a place where those who feel the invisible can recognize themselves. So write your sign in the comments, but not only that, also write if you have lived something that looked like a spiritual trial, something that looked like a test of the universe, something that only you lived and could never explain. It can be a dream, a sign, such an exact coincidence that it still gives you goosebumps. And if you want to activate this spiritual connection even more among us, comment with the words, "I feel it," or "my soul recognizes the truth." They are simple but powerful phrases that carry a deep vibration and further activate this space of healing, awakening, and sharing. According to Edgar Cayce, one of the greatest names in the prophetic spirituality of the 20th century, some signs of the zodiac are not simply living a common journey in this existence. They carry the weight of intense spiritual evidence, marked by ancient karmas that have not been resolved in past lives. But contrary to popular belief, this is not a punishment. It is not a divine punishment, nor an irrevocable sentence. It is a mission, a deep call that only older, more awake and resistant souls are able to carry to the end. Cayce said that not everyone is ready for this kind of journey because it requires delivery, consciousness, pain, and above all, renaissance. And this explains why some signs simply live all the emotions more intensely, pain and challenges of life. Imagine now for a moment that before you were born, your soul made a choice. A conscious, brave, perhaps even lonely choice. To return to the ground plane to rescue something that has been pending in other existences, something that involves healing family standards, closing karmic cycles, or even the release of a stagnant energy that has been perpetuated for generations. Cayce claimed that astrology was more than prediction. It was a mirror of the soul, a symbolic language that revealed clues about what the soul came to live, solve, and transform. And when he analyzed astral maps in his trance states, he could see beyond traditional aspects. He saw the invisible plots between lives, via where the soul had failed, where he had left injured, and in what signs this spiritual energy focused more strongly. These 5 spiritually marked signs, he said, came to the world with an extra challenge. They are tested earlier, face ruptures that seem unfair, live with an unusual emotional intensity, and are often the first to awaken spiritually within their circles. These are those who begin to realize that there is something beyond matter, even without being taught about it. Who have spontaneous intuitions, perceive spiritual presences, feel pain without apparent medical cause, and carry an existential restlessness that drives them to seek answers from a young age. This is because your soul knows that time is running and that the mission they have fulfilled can no longer be postponed. But Cayce warned, not everyone supports, because the spiritual curse is not suffering more than others, it is in feeling more than the others. These signs are more affected by the pain of others, are more vulnerable to dense energies, and often carry guilt and responsibilities that are not only yours. It is as if the universe had put them in strategic positions to heal, to observe, to break standards, but without manual, without clear explanations, only with the faith that there is something bigger in motion. This can cause a deep feeling of loneliness, an existential emptiness that neither love nor success nor material achievements can fill. And it is in this void that the awakening begins. In many cases, these people try to fit in, try to follow the standard script of life, study, work, form family, accumulate achievements. But something always comes out differently, always missing something. There is always a part of the soul that seems to be expecting a sign. And when the signal comes, everything changes. It can be an unexpected loss, an existential crisis, an encounter with someone who seems to have come from another life, or even a dream with symbols that the person has never seen before, but who feels he knows. These events are not random. They are spiritual activations, moments when the soul begins to remember the mission and begins to push the being out of the comfort zone. And from there is no return. The person begins to see signs everywhere, numbers that repeat themselves, words that seem to have been placed there just for her, songs that play at the right time. I shudder upon hearing a specific phrase. All of this are messages, they are codes. These are reminders that you are not just here to exist, but to fulfill something that only you can do. And this something is directly linked to its sign, its energetic essence, to the spiritual frequency that your soul emanates. Cayce said that when a person accepts his mission, even if he still does not completely understand him, things begin to align. The tests continue, but the pain has felt. Solitude becomes a connection, and the confusion gives way to clarity. If you are listening to it all now, and feeling that each word seems to be describing your life, then it may be that your sign is among the 5, or maybe the sign of someone very close to you. And even if you don't have all the answers yet, the simple fact that you are here right now, listening to this message, is already a clear sign that the universe is wanting to remind you of its origin, of your strength, and its role in this greater spiritual plot. Because these revelations do not come to chance, they arrive when you are ready. And if you have felt this energy here, then you are ready to hear what comes next. Now tell me in the comments, what is your sign? And more than that, tell me if you've been through something that seemed to be more than a common challenge, a spiritual trial, something so intense that it seemed to be a kind of test of the universe. Share with the phrase, "I carry this mission," if you feel that all this resonates with your soul. Or write, "I have been feeling it for years," if you have lived with this feeling for a long time, but I had never been able to put it in words. I read everything, and your story may be the missing mirror for another soul to wake up. Short. This video if it is making sense to you, and subscribe, because now we will reveal the first of the 5 spiritually marked signs according to Edgar Cayce. And perhaps in that name you find the answers you were looking for there. Now that his energy has already been activated, that his soul has recognized the call, and that every part of his being vibrates in tune with these words, the time has come that many were waiting. The moment to reveal, according to Edgar Cayce's deep spiritual readings, what are the 5 signs that carry the invisible weight of a spiritual curse. And I reinforce again, this is not a punishment. It is not a stamp of failure, nor a dark sentence. It is mission. It is responsibility. It is a sign that these souls have been called to cross dense layers of existence precisely because they have the necessary strength to transmute what others cannot see. These 5 spiritually marked signs are not fragile. They are powerful, but their path is narrower, silent, more demanding, and that is exactly what makes them so special on the spiritual plane. Scorpio is the first name that appears between these 5, and it is no coincidence. Scorpion carries in essence the symbolism of the Renaissance, of symbolic death, continuous transformation. But what few understand is that this ability to reinvent themselves from deep pain. Scorpios are marked by scars that rarely show the world. These are souls that have been broken and rebuilt many times inside. Invisible battles live that no one sees, fought within the spirit, mind, heart. They carry such a deep intensity that sometimes they seem to walk between 2 worlds at the same time, the visible and the invisible, and so they are misunderstood. Cayce said that Scorpio is the sign that attracts the most ancestral karmic energy, and the spiritual curse they carry is precisely this: living reborn, living being torn from comfort zones, living being challenged to break with your ego to discover a new version of yourself. Few would endure what a Scorpio supports silently. Virgin comes soon after, a sign that many associate with the organization, practicality and logic. But behind this facade of control, there is an extremely spiritual and sensitive soul. Virginians suffer in silence, carry guilt that are not their own, assume the responsibility of fixing the world as if it were a divine duty, and maybe it's. Cayce pointed out that Virgo was marked by an invisible curse, that of extreme spiritual collection. They are souls who are constantly pressured to be perfect, useful, indispensable. And so if they sabotage, if they punish, they criticize themselves internally, relentlessly. They are the injured curators, those who help everyone but forget themselves. And yet, they continue, because they feel deep down that they came to it to serve, to purify, to balance energies that are out of order, and even when no one thanks, they keep doing it. Because they know it is not for recognition, it is for the mission. Capricorn is another sign that Cayce saw as deeply spiritually marked. Unlike Virgin, who seeks control, and Scorpion, who seeks rebirth, Capricorn is born with the weight of the world over the shoulders. These are souls that carry responsibility early on. Often they have harsh childhoods, mature ahead of time. They feel they need to prove their value through achievements, structure, and firmness. But what few understand is that this strength comes from accumulated spiritual tiredness. Cayce said that Capricorn brings with him the karma of generations. They are old souls who have already led, have already fallen, have already rebuilt spiritual empires in previous lives, and therefore return to earth with heavy tasks. Capricorn's spiritual curse is this: born old, have to endure more than others without complaining, feeling that you always need to stay firm, even when you are shattered inside. Cancer, in turn, carries one of the most subtle and painful spiritual missions. These are the zodiac draws, bearers of such acute sensitivity that they often absorb pain, that they are not even their own. Since children Cancerians feel what others feel, they cry without knowing why. Present tragedies, they feel sadness in the environment. Cayce said that Cancer is the sign that serves as an emotional container of the astral plane, and that makes them vulnerable, fragile inside. The spiritual curse they carry is this: to feel everything. And this can be a blessing when well-channeled, but a burden when ignored or repressed. Cancerians need constant energy protection. They need to learn to filter what is theirs and what is from the other. And above all, they need to recognize that their gift is rare. They are not just here to feel, but to heal, welcome, and illuminate with the strength of the heart. Finally, Pisces closes this circa spiritual signs marked. The most sensitive of the zodiac, the most connected to the spiritual, the most intuitive, the most difficult to understand with the rational mind. Pisces lives in an interluga where reality always seems mixed with dream, with feeling, with a reminder of something no one else remembers. Cayce said Pisces carry ancestral, not only personal pain. These are souls who have lived so much that sometimes they don't even know who they are anymore. And that generates a constant feeling of emptiness, confusion, search. The spiritual curse of fish is this fusion with everything. They feel the weight of humanity, absorb collective suffering, and so they need more than ever to find anchors: spirituality, art, silence, prayer, something that reconnects them with the top. Because otherwise they get lost. And when they get lost, it is as if a light went out in the world. If you found yourself in any of these signs or recognize someone, tell me here in the comments. Share your most striking spiritual experience. Write the phrase, "I carry this pain, but I turn into light," if you feel that this message spoke directly to your soul. And if you want to intensify this connection with what is to come, also comment the name of your sign with the word awakening. Like this video, if these truths played you in any way, and if you haven't signed up, do it now. Because what I will reveal to you in the next stretch is the deepest explanation of why these signs were chosen, and what you can do to transform the spiritual curse into a sacred mission. These signs are not being punished, they are being cut. They are old souls, shaped by many existences, chosen for something larger than what the eyes can see. The pain they carry is not random. It has form, has history, has a deep root in other times, other incarnations, other roles that the soul has taken, and that left marks that still vibrate in the present. Edgar Cayce understood this clearly. He knew that the suffering of certain people was not just the now, but of all that their souls lived, built, broken, unfinished over the centuries. And he said that souls who are reborn under certain signs already bring with them a silent contract with fate, a spiritual signature that says, "I accept the mission." And this mission, as hard as it may seem, is grand, These 5 signs were not chosen for weakness, but by force. They were not marked by bad luck, but by accumulated wisdom. They are containers of spiritual knowledge that few understand. Scorpion, Virgin, Capricorn, Cancer, and Fish carry deep cure codes of healing, rescue, and transformation. Life challenges them precisely because they know that they have the potential to cross abyss and come back with light. Spirituality tests these souls more intensely because they are carrying a purpose that cannot be lived in superficiality. And therefore, the existence charges maturity, delivery, presence, rebirth. These people cannot live asleep. They cannot settle. Because inside them pulsates an old call, an invisible memory that they are here to something far beyond survival. If you are one of them, you were trained by the universe, trained in silence, in the pains no one has seen, trained in the moments of loneliness where no one extended your hand, trained in the losses that made you question everything, the nights you thought of giving up but still continued. All of this is part of the cut process. Each scar you carry in the body or soul is a symbol of spiritual resistance. You are not weak. You are a spiritual warrior. And even when life seems to have ripped out of you, there is still something inside you that refuses to die. This spark is your purpose. Cayce believed that these souls return to Earth with a double mission: evolve and raise. First, they need to face their own ghosts, cure their own wounds, rescue lost fragments of themselves. Then they become headlights for others. Silent guides, people who without realizing it inspire, touch and awaken other souls just by the way they live, feel and resist. Their spiritual mission of these people does not reveal itself in a great way, with heavenly trumpets or spectacular mystical visions. It reveals itself in the routine, in small gestures, difficult choices, the forgiveness that seems impossible, in the love that is offered even after the pain. Stopping is cruel because the brute stone is unaware that it will become a jewel. She just feels the cuts. But the lapidator knows what he is doing. He sees beyond. He knows the shine hidden under the layers of pain, fear, pride and resistance. And this lapidor is the destination itself. It is the superior consciousness. It is the divine force that, silent and accurate, is shaping you for something much bigger. So when life gets you something, understand, sometimes it is not a punishment but a preparation. When everything seems to collapse, perhaps it is only the old man being torn so that the new can emerge. And when you are in front of the mirror, tired, but with your eyes still shining with faith, remember, you are one of the chosen ones. And chosen have no easy paths, but they have sacred paths. This resignification is essential, because without it, the pain seems empty. Without it, the tests look cruel. But when you understand that you are being shaped, everything changes. The pain becomes honor, the loss becomes space, the loneliness becomes clarity, and life, which once seemed only suffering, becomes seen as an epic journey of self, knowledge and transcendence. You start to recognize the signs, to respect your cycles, to listen to your dreams more carefully. And it begins to realize that behind each meeting, every fall, every silence, there is a spiritual intelligence operating something great. You are not small, you are a channel, a link between the invisible and the visible. And its pain, however intimate and intense, is also a bridge that connects dimensions. Many will move away from you without understanding. Others will look for you without knowing why. This is because your vibration changes as you awaken, and the mission is slowly revealing itself, never all at once. The universe works in stages, and now, if you are here reading these words and feeling that something inside you are being touched, it is because another step has just opened. I really want you to share this moment with me. Comment down here as you feel, knowing that your pain has a greater purpose. Write the phrase, "I am a cut soul," felt that all this describes your journey. Or say, "I was trained by the universe," if you have already faced evidence that has transformed you completely. Your comment is not just an answer, it's a signal to other souls that are coming now. And if you haven't left like this video yet, this is the moment. Show the universe that you are ready to continue. But be careful, because as beautiful as the mission is, however sacred the journey, it requires presence. It requires courage. It requires commitment to the truth itself. And when the soul that was chosen tries to escape its way, the consequences do not take time to manifest. Edgar Cayce was emphatic in claiming that those who ignore the calls of their spiritual essence begins to disconnect from their own light. And without this light, the path becomes dark, confused, heavy. Not because the universe wants to punish, but because the soul itself, in denying its truth, moves away from the source that nourishes it, from the vibration that protects it, from the energy that sustains it. It is as if a spiritual antenna turned off, and the person begins to operate in a world where everything seems more difficult, colder, lighter. And it's not that the challenges disappear when you follow your mission, but they become understandable. They come to feel. When the pain is directed, it becomes strength. But when pain arises from a life lived against the soul, it becomes weight, chronic anguish, unnamed sadness. How many people today walk with the present body, but with the distant spirit? How many relationships do not reflect who they really are? Jobs that suffocate their creativity, routines that sabotage their vital energy. All of this are symptoms of spiritual disconnection, and the more you ignore, the more life squeezes. Because spirituality does not give up on you, but she won't make you unharmed while you insist on living like someone else. You feel this when you start to move away from your truth. Sit in the body, feels in the thoughts, feels in the signs around you. Synchronic stop. The doors close, the intuition is confused, dreams become restless. It's as if everything started screaming in silence to bring you back, because the mission, when it is denied, charges a price. And this price can be the erasure of the light itself. And without light, you become vulnerable to everything you didn't achieve before. Envy, dense energy, paralyzing doubts, emotional addictions, deep tiredness that do not go with rest. This fragility is not natural, it is spiritual. It is the clear sign that you are out of your axis. Cayce said that the soul, when it is aligned with its truth, automatically activates a spiritual protection around it. It is as if an invisible shield formed, guiding, protecting, driving away what does not belong. But this shield doesn't work if you are representing a character. It doesn't work if you are denying your sensitivity by repressing your gifts, ignoring your dreams. This protection does not come from what you say, but what you vibrate. And it only vibrates authenticity who has the courage to be who it is, even when it bothers others, even when it requires ruptures, even when it makes you walk alone for a while. Spirituality respects free will, but it also responds with intensive add to your choices. If you vibrate true, you receive direction. If you vibrate fear, it attracts confusion. If you vibrate, it attracts repetitions. How many times have you been through the same situations with different faces? How many times did you feel that life was in loop? This happens when you insist on ignoring what the soul has already understood, when you try to live as others expect, instead of living as your spirit calls you. And the mission, even when postponed, does not disappear. She comes back, she waits. But each time it returns, it comes more intense, because you are already more prepared. And if you still insist on running away, the universe accelerates the signs. Crises happen, forced changes occur. Nothing else is up to the old man. It all starts to crumble. But that doesn't have to be a punishment. It can be an invitation. It can be the turn point. The moment you finally understand that life doesn't want you to suffer. She wants you to wake up. May you occupy the place that is yours. May you stop fighting your own nature and start flowing with your essence. Because only then peace comes. Only then does the shine come back. Only then the energy that was stagnant begins to circulate again. You feel it in the look, feel on the skin, feel in the air. It is as if everything returned to your place, as if the whole world breathed along with you. This is spiritual reconnection, and it only happens when you choose to honor who you really are. Don't let fear convince you that it is better to hide. Do not accept that pain makes you believe you are alone. Do not allow doubt to separate you from your mission, because every time you say no to your call, you say no to your light. And every no that you give to the universe, it is a yes that you give to stagnation. And life is movement. The mission is movement. The soul is movement. So if you are feeling now that this message was made for you, if these words played in memories that you didn't even know you still carried, then recognize it. Recognize the urgency of your awakening. Recognize the importance of staying connected with your spirituality, with your gifts, your sign, with what makes you unique. Because you didn't come here to go out, you came to illuminate. And now I want to know about you. Comment down here the phrase, "I choose to honor my spiritual mission," if you felt that this message was a mirror of your journey. Or just write, "My light is sacred," if you have realized that when you move away from your truth, it all starts to lose color. Your comment can play someone else who is in the same silent fight. Enjoy this video if it spoke to your heart. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, do it now. Because in the next passage, we will talk about the most intense signs that reveal that your spiritual mission has begun, even if you are still trying to understand what it means. And if you got here, reading, listening, feeling every word, it's because something inside you already knew this message was yours. It may not be able to explain logically, you may never have talked about it to anyone, but your soul recognizes. And recognizing is the first step of awakening, because an awake soul no longer sleeps. Even if trying, even if you want to fit in, go back to the automatic, to the comfort zone, something inside you has crossed an invisible line. Something was activated, and once this happens, life begins to respond otherwise. Signs intensify, coincidences cease to seem coincidence, sensations become clearer, and even pain gain new meaning. What was once just suffering begins to seem instruction. What was once a loss now seems to be release. What was once empty begins to reveal itself as a space for building something new, something more aligned with who you really are. And this is exactly where your spiritual commitment begins to consolidate. Because it is not enough just to understand, you need to choose. It is necessary to assume this call as part of your path, and that requires courage, requires delivery. It requires you to look inside honestly and recognize the parts of you who are ready to grow. It is not easy. The spiritual mission has never been about facilities. It was about truth, and the truth, even if uncomfortable, liberates. How many times have you felt that you were destined for something bigger, but drowned out that voice because it seemed too fanciful? How many times did you dreamed of something that seemed impossible, but woke up with the certainty that it was real in any way? How many times did you feel that you didn't fit where you were, in the relationships you lived, in the roles you assumed? These concerns are not weaknesses. They are called. They are reminders of their essence. These are touches of the universe, so that you do not get lost in the hurry of the world and forget the mission your soul accepted before you even born. Because yes, you accepted, maybe do not remember clearly, but there on the spiritual plane, before coming to this body, to this time, to and sign, you made a deal. And all the call you feel today, every feeling of not belonging, every boost for something bigger, is the echo of this silent pact. You are here now, reading this message, because your soul wants to remember, and remembering is painful, because together with spiritual memory comes responsibility. The mission is not just about feeling special, it is about acting with conscience. It is about assuming one's own spiritual power with humility. It's about using your gifts not to isolate yourself, but to connect with those who are also looking for light. It is about serving, about cure, about awakening others that are still stuck in the darkness. And this is only possible when you decide that you will no longer ignore the signs, that will live in tune with what you feel, even when it makes no sense to others. That will honor its sensitivity, your foreboding, your intuition, your natural mediumship, your call to the invisible, because that's where your strength is. Do you realize how, throughout this journey, have you never been alone? How did each word seem to have been written for you, as if something bigger was guiding this meeting? This is no coincidence. This is spiritual synchronicity. This is an answer to your vibration, to your search state, to its thirst for true answers. And now, after all you lived internally during this message, what remains is the decision. You can follow as before. You can pretend you felt nothing. Or you can accept that you have been called, that yes, there is something more waiting for you, and that yes, your life has a greater meaning, a meaning that begins to reveal itself from the moment you say yes to yourself. So if you felt that this video has really touched you, if you realize that everything that has been said here has a direct relationship with what you feel at the bottom of your soul, comment below, "I am chosen." Write this phrase if you felt this call, if something inside you woke up, if the pieces started to fit, and if you already know it is part of something larger, which has a light that can no longer be faded. Also comment, "My soul awakens, illuminates the way of others." This will strengthen not only your connection with this energy, but also create a support field for all who are coming now and feeling alone. Like this video if it spoke to your heart, and especially subscribe now on the channel, because in the next videos we will continue this journey revealing the signs that were sealed with invisible protection, those born with a spiritual covenant that accompanies them since before the first sigh. If you want to understand more about your spiritual mission, your intuitive sensitivity, the karmic cycles of your sign, and the practical ways to awaken your inner strength, you cannot lose what comes next. This channel is more than a content space. If you stayed with me here, it is because something inside you recognized the truth of this call. And this already puts you in a very special group of awake souls, which are ready to take the next steps on this spiritual journey. So if you have felt this connection, you subscribe now to the channel, because this is not just a click. It's a commitment to your own awakening. Here, each video is a new activation, a new expansion portal of consciousness, and you won't want to lose what comes next. And if you arrived until the end, I want you to comment below, "I woke up with this message." Write this phrase now, because it not only strengthens your vibration, but helps the algorithm spread this truth to more people who are also looking for answers. Your comment may be the sign that another soul needed to wake up as well. Don't forget to leave your like right now. It shows me and the universe that this message has touched your true soul. Your like is not just a support. It is an energetic confirmation that you are present and conscious on this path. And before you leave, do the following. Watch now the next video that is appearing here on the left side of your screen. It will further deepen everything we say here and can bring even more powerful revelations about your sign, your mission, and what the universe has reserved for you. You are ready. Continue the journey. Your soul thanks you.